this is something Yardley became really passionate about, and I want to just share something with you first. It's been 6 years of his journey understanding this role, understanding the differences between masculine and feminine, studying it because of a story he'll tell you. But it's been 6 years of really redefining everything for himself and as far as where he is, as well as helping others. And I say 6 years because I believe you can change how quick? Like how quick? Like that. Instantly. You can change instantly. But the thing is, you can't change if you're not what? Aware. You're not acknowledging it. If you don't know that it's happening, you can't change it. It's impossible. Well, we started acknowledging things were happening in our relationship that we both weren't happy with, and it required change and required us to pay attention, so we did. And it's actually helped save our marriage, because I know some of you in relationships that it's more or less, you married the person, but you might as well be platonic and be best friends, or maybe not even friends, but you're still there for convenience or money or whatever the story is. The truth is that doesn't have to be a relationship. All relationships require some effort. It's not like, the reason why you might not have what you had when you first met to where you are now is just like June just said, you stopped doing what you were doing that was working. When you're courting, right, we show up different, we take care of ourselves different, we laugh at their jokes when they're not funny, right, ladies? Men, you let us talk as long as we want, even though you want to shut us up, but you think there's some better reason to listen, right? There's always, we change, we stop doing what we did when we were courting. And then all of a sudden you think, oh, I got caught him, and I don't have to do that anymore. The one thing I said to my husband, we're together 17 years now, over 17 years, 17 and a half years or something. And honestly, he'll say it too, it flew by. It was like, wow, that went so fast. And one other thing I want to share is we both have been married before. So the good thing we found is we already knew what we didn't want, because we already got rid of that. So when we chose each other, we knew what we wanted. But making that last and making that stay and grow was effort. It was effort. It was conscious effort, because what happens, uncovering unconscious patterns and behaviors. There are things we start doing and we don't realize we're doing it. So we need to become aware, start making a change, break through the stuff, and he's going to take you through a journey like no other. And with no further ado, my handsome, your Yardley Wang.
So I'm here to explain some of the differences between men and women, and I'm going to give you what we're going to talk about. But my goal here is to educate you a little bit about the man. So let's just start with the men, because it's really easy. If we look at the men's brain, imagine this, because I would say 70 to 80% of us are visual learners. Okay, that's why we have this here for you. Imagine if you would a filing cabinet system. So what happens is there's little files and there's little drawers, or more importantly, there's boxes. So if we can imagine a bank with a safety deposit, that's a better analogy, okay? If we are in a bank and there's safety deposit boxes, can you picture what's going on, or PO boxes in a post office? There's little boxes, and they're numbered. Likewise for men. Our brains have functions where we have little boxes on neat shelves, and they're all categorized. We have the finance box. We have the work box, okay? We have the automobile box, okay? We have the how do I deal with my wife box. So we have compartments that we deal with, all right? However, when we talk about a subject, what happens is really simple. We pull out a box and we open up and we discuss what's in the box. And that's the only thing we discuss. We're mono-focused, mono-vision. Does that make sense to you? Okay, hold that thought for a moment. By the way, we're going to be bouncing around on purpose. I will circle back and tie everything together so everything comes together and you're like, ladies, men, if you didn't know, if we uncover the lady's brain, but most of you here have been on the internet, their brain is like the internet superhighway. There's so many wires and they're overlapping. From the from the left lobe to the right lobe, crisscross, from the front to the back to the front. Everything's networked together. So they have this beautiful internet superhighway within their brain. That's fantastic. But at the same time, it could be detrimental. Why? Because of the fact that when they're thinking about things, they never stop thinking. Does that make sense? And if I threw out a statement that men think and women feel, that makes it even worse. Because in the masculine form, oh, by the way, like we were saying before, if you're one of those people, as I'm discussing the general parts of male and female, and you're like, oh, that's not me. I'm female, but that's not me. That's okay. We have both within us. We have masculine and feminine traits. And feel free to, I'm giving you the basics, and feel free to, say, that might not be me necessarily, but just feel free to extrapolate from that point. Does that make sense? So what happens is, as we're thinking about all this stuff going on, we never stop thinking, but the challenge is that we feel, because we feel we come from the heart space, don't you, ladies? You would like to come from the heart space. But instead, you have the super highway, and you're thinking about all these different things. Okay? So, ladies, you have everything that's going on at the same time. It gives you the ability to what we call multitask. Does that make sense? You can talk about anything, or more importantly, the word you want to write down is called diffused awareness. Because when we say multitask, that's your terminology. We all understand. Ladies, you multitask. Isn't that true? Okay, that is true. However, the better terminology for you is you have what we call diffused awareness, which means you have absolutely no focus. Remember? Men, monovision, we focus. Ladies, zero focus. Now, when you say, well, I'm a multitasker though, that's correct. You are a multitasker, but you're a multitasker with lousy focus. Okay? I want you to write down 3 letters. The men have it as well as the women. It's WTP. For the men, it's 2 things, ladies. WTP stands for what's the problem or what's the point? So our task as a man to pleasure you and please you, ladies, is really simple. It's what's the problem? So whatever comes out of your mouth, what's the problem? I have to solve it. Why? Because when I solve things and I'm in my true masculine, I need testosterone. Testosterone builds the masculine, okay? And it releases a hormone called oxytocin. And that's our feel-good hormone. And we feel incredible from that. When we can solve an issue or a problem, that's phenomenal. And our oxytocin levels go through the roof, and we get really excited. It gives us energy. It's a different oxytocin for ladies. Your oxytocin is really simple. It's small, measurable tasks accomplished and feeling appreciated. That's what it's all about for you. The little things in life that happen. Okay? And it builds your oxytocin. It's incredible, which increases your estrogen. Does that make sense? So when we're going through this entire process, like, that's what's happening with what's the problem. But here's the other issue that comes up. We're about what's the problem, or what's the point? Because if it's not a problem and you're busy yapping away, it's like, what's the point? Because it's not a problem. And that's our thinking patterns. Ladies, you have something called WTP also. Your is what's the point also. I'm going to explain to you in a moment what's the point, and it'll become crystal clear. We're in a stress situation. Men go to their nothing box. So what that means is when we get stressed out, because here's what happens. When we get stressed, we have a choice. Our testosterone levels are really high, and we have 2 things. Maybe you heard of the terminology fight or flight. Is that true? Okay, fight or flight in the caveman days is if you got attacked by a lion and a tiger or a bear and you can't outrun it, it's like, I got to run. If I can't beat it or fight it, I'm going to run. Does that make sense? So when was the last time you saw a guy get chased down by a lion? In today's day and age, we don't have that situation of the flight or fight. Does that make sense? We don't have that fight. So we have fight or flight. We don't need to fly. We don't need to fly away. So what happens is we build up.